A quiet kind of defiance. In a town where a man's worth is measured by what he hides, one lawman chooses to stop running. This is a story of quiet defiance, of love that doesn't ask permission, and the kind of strength that doesn't bend. Welcome to Secrets Under Stetsons. Chapter 6. The Past Wears Spurs. The smell of coffee and ash clung to the air as dawn crawled in through the window. Elijah lay still, one arm bent behind his head, eyes on the ceiling. Liam slept beside him, curled loosely on his side, a line of sunlight resting across his bare back like some kind of silent promise. Elijah hadn't slept. Not really. His body was spent, but his mind was wide awake, tripping over memories, over rules, over risks he never used to take. He turned his head slightly, just enough to watch Liam breathe. How did this happen? How had one fight, one boy with a smart mouth and eyes full of questions, upended everything Elijah had spent years building? The lies, the rituals, the carefully measured life. It had all cracked the moment Liam Prescott looked at him like he wasn't invisible. Elijah had always kept his boots planted firmly in the present. He did not dwell on the past, and he sure as hell didn't make plans for the future. But this morning, lying next to a man who hadn't run from him, who'd wanted him, his mind wandered somewhere it hadn't dared go in a long, long time. Backward. His father had been a hard man, not cruel, not with fists, but hard in the way he talked, the way he looked at people, the way he expected Elijah to be made of the same timber. Don't bend, he used to say. Men who bend break. And Elijah had learned early, bend nothing. Show nothing. Want nothing you couldn't hold in your hand or lock behind your teeth. The first time he'd looked too long at another boy, back when he was 16, working a cattle drive south of Billings, he'd buried the feeling so deep it might as well have been a sin. That boy had smiled at him, offered him a cigarette, nothing more. But Elijah had felt the heat in his chest, and that was enough to make him swear he'd never let it happen again. He didn't even remember the boy's name, just the scar on his forearm, and the way Elijah had dreamed about him for weeks after. It was simpler to become someone else, someone useful, strong, respected, a man with secrets under his Stetson and blood on his hands when necessary. A man who visited the brothel not for pleasure, but for proof. He'd spent the next 20 years making damn sure no one could look too closely. And now here Liam was, curled up like it was the most natural thing in the world, body warm beside him, mouth slightly open in sleep. And all Elijah could think about was how much he wanted to keep this. Not just the night, not just the moment, the man. Liam stirred slowly, eyes blinking open, a faint crease in his brow. He looked at Elijah and smiled, sleepy, but sure of himself. "Mornin'," he murmured, voice rough from sleep. "Didn't mean to wake you," Elijah said. "You didn't." Liam stretched, muscles flexing, then rolled onto his back. "You've been staring at me like I'm a ghost." Elijah gave a low, gravel-rough chuckle. "You kinda are." Liam turned his head toward him. "That a compliment or a warning?" "Don't know yet," Elijah said honestly. Liam reached over, fingertips dragging gently across Elijah's chest. "I don't scare easy." "I do," Elijah replied, surprising even himself. The silence that followed wasn't awkward, it was heavy with truth. Liam sat up and swung his legs over the edge of the bed. "So what now? You throw me out before breakfast, or we pretend this didn't happen?" Elijah watched the muscles shift in Liam's back. The scars, the sun-worn skin, the quiet confidence of someone who'd learned how to survive without asking permission. "I'm not pretending," Elijah said, voice low. Liam looked over his shoulder. "That's a start." They got dressed slowly, like neither of them wanted to mark the line between night and day. Elijah moved quieter than usual, like the wrong sound might crack the whole moment in half. Once Liam was dressed, he moved toward the door. He paused before he left. "You gonna look at me different now?" Elijah shook his head. "I'm gonna look at you the same. The problem is, I don't know if I can stop." Liam gave him a crooked smile. "Good." Then he slipped out, leaving Elijah standing in the center of the room, fully clothed, but more exposed than he'd ever been in his life. The rest of the day moved like molasses. Elijah went through the motions, posted bail notices, checked on the telegraph line, sat through a land committee meeting. But none of it stuck. Every face blurred, every voice faded. He passed the general store and saw Liam helping unload crates from a wagon. Their eyes met just once. Nothing was said, but the meaning was there. "I see you." Later, Elijah found himself riding beyond the edge of town, past the creek, into the long stretches of grazing land. His horse moved slowly, as if sensing the weight in the saddle. He stopped near a ridge that overlooked the northern valley, where a modest but well-kept homestead sat nestled against the slope. He didn't know the men who lived out there, Anderson and Lockwood, if you remembered right. They'd passed through town once. Quiet, polite, close. No one said much about them, but there was talk. Always was, when two men built a place together and didn't bring wives. Elijah sat there for a while, the wind pressing against his coat, the reins slack in his hands. There was something about that homestead. Solid, private, peaceful. Built by two men who'd chosen their own kind of life and didn't ask permission to do it. And Elijah, sitting in that saddle with someone else's warmth still fresh on his skin, wondered if it was possible, not just to want, but to have, to build something lasting, to live without apology. He turned the horse back toward Sheridan, jaw tight and thoughts louder than hooves. He didn't know Anderson or Lockwood, but he knew what it meant to keep something sacred behind closed doors. And maybe, just maybe, he wasn't the only man in Sheridan with secrets under his Stetson. He remembered that passing meeting. Two men, content to live in silence, a life built out there in the open, but still hidden from most. And suddenly it didn't feel like a rumor or a fantasy. It felt like a future, maybe, if he didn't screw this up. He turned the horse back toward town, spurs clicking faintly as the wind picked up behind him. Whatever came next, Elijah knew two things. His past wore spurs, and his future had blue eyes, and a smile that could burn a man down. Until next time, the dust hasn't settled yet. There's more to this story, more to uncover, more to fight for, and more waiting just beyond the next sunrise. Come back next week and walk a little further down this road with them.